How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel. You guys can tell by the title, Jasmy update. And when I tell you the amount of people that are reaching out in the comments saying, Crypto ZX, give us a Jasmy update, I will be, going hours and hours and just reading a lot of requests coming in Jasmy. And, even people going out of their way to email me and talk about Jasmy. So here we have it, bringing you guys this update for Jasmy. We're going to talk about some prices and understand, what's really happening and, of course, what we could be expecting. But before we get into it, as always, just a quick disclaimer. Anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So as far as the broader market is concerned, I'm sure if you watch some of my other updates, you guys know what's going on. But Jasmy is up 13% on the daily time frame. On the weekly time frame, Jasmy is up 60%. So it's seeing quite a bit of excitement coming in the price. And if you're looking across the board, you're starting to see some coins up double digits, like more than 10%. Of course, you're seeing Fart coin obviously up quite a bit, XEN, Jasmy, HNT, and of course HYPE renders. So you guys get the idea, but let's take a closer look and really understand where Jasmy is currently sitting, and what is of course some of the next price predictions we could be looking out forward to. But looking at the price, 1.6 cents right now, up 11% in Bitcoin and 9% in Ethereum. Comparative market cap at $780 million, and the 24-hour trading volume at about 372.1 million. As far as the dominance is concerned, you guys can see the dominance is still quite high at 63.5%. By no means is this low. Obviously, I think if it was around the 60% range, we would have seen much more excitement, based off of what we're seeing right now. If you think this is exciting, I think it would have been much more for altcoins if the dominance was a little lower. But the way dominance is currently sitting, I've said this in my other updates, I think, it just kind of shows how the market is currently feeling about, the overall market move. And in terms of uncertainty, I think it is still quite high out there. But looking at Bitcoin right now, Bitcoin is at $85,700 right now, guys. We actually wicked up to 86K a few hours back. Bitcoin is absolutely having a field day over the weekend, and obviously over the last 1 week as well, after the tariffs were announced, being paused. You could see the market obviously reacted in a very positive way. Bitcoin is having absolutely of a field day. But of course, a lot of significant amount of resistance coming in its way, but this resistance needs to break out. If it's able to do that, I really do believe a 90K Bitcoin could be on the table next. But obviously, I would love to see the price of Bitcoin back into 23.6. That's where I would like to see the price of Bitcoin at. That's just a confirmation for myself. But breaking out of this $88,000 would obviously take us to that 90K range, which we haven't been above for over a month. So obviously that would be nice to see, but one step at a time. But Jasmy, because that is what everyone is here for, to talk about Jasmy's price. So yes, you're looking at the chart here. You're like, wow, this is amazing. We're pumping. And again, let me just kind of give you guys a little bit of visual. So from April 7th at 0.0082 cents, Jasmy is up 115%. So it obviously had a sharp decline. So did the broader market, but it's one of the coins that has bounced back up quite fast. And I've shared this with you guys in the past. Jasmy is one of the coins that has a major community. A lot of people think Jasmy could go to crazy valuations. And again, no one even thought that Jasmy could go to 5 cents, and it was able to do that late last year. So we got to give credit where it belongs. But I don't hold any Jasmy. You guys know, I keep it 100% transparent. I hold zero Jasmy. I'm giving you guys an update based off of what you guys request to see. And I give you guys unbiased updates, whether I hold it or not. If I think our project is looking really bullish, I'm not going to be shy away from saying it's not. But right now, even though you're seeing 115% increase, what if I showed you guys this chart? Look at this. So when you look at it from a daily perspective, it looks like nothing has happened. Literally look at that. It looks like nothing has happened. I repeat, and I'm sure you guys can kind of relate to that as well. But you can see this for yourself. We fell below 1.2 cents price point, which we haven't been below since last year, early last year. So of course, this happened to multiple projects, but if you are looking at the bounce itself, is 115%. But right now, Jasmy could see a sharp recovery. Its valuation is low in this state of the market, guys. A valuation below $1 billion, even $1 billion is considered low, because there's so much money in this space now. So projects like this can be manipulated quite easily, and I've said this 1,000 times. But 1.6 cents is the current price. So let's kind of hold off to where we currently are. I just want to show you guys from December 8th high at 6 cents. Jasmy fell 90%. 90% decrease. That is not a small decrease by any means. And of course, some people are going to be like, no, this is the revolutionary project, this and that. I've shared my fair share of, looking into Jasmy, and there's a lot of things I question, but everyone has their own ways of, analyzing this. At the end of the day, I've shared this with you guys, in terms of a project itself. I think there are red flags out there based off of my understanding and, my research. But with that said, in terms of, making money, obviously a lot of people, want to make gains with this project. I think the potential is there because literally look at it from Jan last year. It was sitting at 0.004 cents. It went up 1,113%. So that is not a small move, guys. That's like a 12 to 13x. So again, crazy ROI if you picked it up early on, but you're starting to see, Jasmy showing recovery once again, obviously facing some key resistance coming in its way, significant key resistance as well. If this is able to break out, I personally do believe, Jasmy could go up to this 2.3 cents, and I have no doubts, that it could push up to, the highs that we saw last year, based off of the amount of people and the hype factor that is around Jasmy. I think at the end of the day, hype factor is so important, and it can drive the prices of assets to some crazy valuations that no one can expect. Obviously, tokenomics look good. I've shared that with you guys before. That's a big plus point. Tokenomics were garbage last cycle when it was announced. This project was announced. The market was like literally one of the worst tokenomics. But obviously now it's much better. So in terms of an investor's perspective, I'm sure more people that were kind of hesitant looking into Jasmy due to the tokenomics alone now might be able to look into it. The fact that almost all coins are in circulation. So so far so good. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Obviously, it has a long ways to go. Such significant resistance around this 1.6 cents mark. If this is able to turn into support, I personally think this 2.3 to 2.5 cents price target could be in play next. So, gradual steps towards the upside. Obviously, we're still in this accumulation pattern. We did briefly break out of here for the first time, guys, in literally 2.5 years. So that was quite a big move, but it did not last too long. Obviously, it has a long ways to go to reach $1. A lot of people think this is going to reach $1. I have my doubts because that would require crazy valuations. But we're going to take it one step at a time right now. I don't want you guys to be taking a look at $1, $2, because I see those crazy price predictions people throw out. First, break out of this key range, then take it from there. Let me know down below what you guys think. If you want to see more of these updates, smash that like button. We'll see you later in Crypto ZX, and peace out.